Hello, welcome to another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. You?
Well, doing great. We've got another Ryan in the podcast room with us, a returning guest, Ryan Batt.
Nice to be back, Sal.
And so we know if Ryan Batt is in the house, we're going to talk about livestock.
Yep.
I feel honored. This is the third time I've been here. I'm surprised we haven't discontinued the podcast or something by now.
So
We've
far,
received no complaints so far.
we haven't had any complaints on you, so you're good.
I'll try my best to make one today.
I don't think we've had to censor him any either, have we?
No, he's not had. No, he's done fine.
Not like Longaball. We have to beep him, duck quack him out every once in a while. Well, Ryan, since you've been here, we have started a new tradition. We start with the question of the day. And so your question of the day today is, tell us about your worst day at work. Now, before you get no tragedies, no missing limbs, or at least limbs they couldn't
Unless
put
you're a
back
tree
on.
trimmer.
Yeah, right. That's pretty quick there, Ryan.
That's what I'm known for.
And the guest gets to go first. So tell us about your worst day at work.
Well, I've been thinking about this, and I'm glad you kind of maybe cheated it in there yesterday or something. But I think about the worst day of work because if you know me, I'm pretty high strung whenever it comes to getting down to right at the first of the month, and that's when we have our biggest sales there at the Little York location, and just by turn it falls into our Kentucky location. Usually has a big sale that day, and you're always worried about getting out there and getting
on the same day.
Well, the next day,
okay.
The next day is the Little York one, but you always worry about getting out there and getting stuff done and making sure you're all lined up because the speed is money, time is money. But like I say, we're coming in there one day, and I get there pretty early in the morning, and I got my regular old button-up shirt on, the jeans and everything. And it's about this time of year, maybe like in the middle of May, and we walk in there, and we had some cows that got in a different pen or something. We went around and moved them, and it was me and another boy, and this cow comes out there, and he's like, "Oh, we got to unload this trailer." I said, "Okay," and cow walks out there, and I'm right behind her, shooting her in the pen, and all of a sudden the green grass comes out, the tail goes up, and it just splatters all over me, and I'm head to toe covered in green manure, and I look at him, and it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I just looked at him, I said, "You think Walmart's open?" And he said, "I think it's open 24 hours. This is pre-COVID. This is 10 years ago." And I said, "I'll be back in a little bit." And he goes, "Are you really going to go walk in Walmart dressed like that?"
That's what I'm thinking.
And then I was sitting there thinking, well, I don't want to walk in Walmart like this.
They'll give you the clothes if you do.
Yeah. So anyways, I decided, well, I'm going to go clean it off and see where I get to. And so I cleaned it off, and then I get going into Walmart, and I'm like, I wonder if I got a coat in the back. So I put my coat on, I'm ruining clothes as I'm going, and
touching everything you got.
Yeah. So anyways, I get to Walmart, and I'm in there and looking around, find some pants, find some shirt, come back out to the truck, in about a 30-40 minute time, this stuff's pretty well dried on me by that point. And then I get back to the yard, and I'm like, well, should I change? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and change. So anyways, went ahead and changed my clothes, come back out there, and I swear I walked right back out there, and I don't know if it was the same cow or not, and she fires off again.
No way.
Fires off again and gets at my sleeve and the right side of my shoulder. And I said, well, at least I went to work today. So I scrape it off, and I keep going. And I would say that, that's probably about the worst day I've ever had. Because
green manure would be very environmentally friendly. So good for you.
I think it maybe had some of the onion in it too. So I mean,
Oh my God. Because that's a unique smell.
That's right.
That's going to be hard to top.
Yep.
Twice in one day. And you probably only bought one shirt, right, at Walmart?
I bought one shirt, and and I'll be honest with you, if you go out and look at my truck, there's probably at least white T-shirts, or there's button-up shirts or something underneath the seat or behind the seat or something to put on. So I learned my lesson.
So tell us about the looks you got in Walmart whenever you went in there.
I tell you what,
you hear about the people of Walmart.
Being that early in the morning, there wasn't that many people in there. It was the older people in there getting their groceries and vegetables and stuff. But went straight to that clothing section. Went up. I don't even know if they even had the self checkout.
That's what I'm wondering.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh. Hope the lady in front of me kind of hurries up. I know I'm standing back 10 feet. So I couldn't get my card out fast enough.
You were social distancing before it was cool.
Right. Yeah.
Twice in a day.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, I can go next, or if you want to go, Ryan, or I
go ahead.
Okay. Well, mine was, it's been a long time ago. I bet it was 30 years ago. And in our industry, it's a little bit dated here with telling the example, but back then we would impregnate chemicals on dry fertilizer, and we go out and spread the fertilizer on the fields, and it would have the chemicals, the crop protection products would be mixed in with the fertilizers. You'd blend it in there, and it would be all mixed up, and you would spread it over the field, evenly over the field. And we had the truck broke down once it was loaded completely full, and the product that we had on there, and give a shout out to one of our other coworkers, Larry Huffmeyer. He's a former ICI and Syngenta rep, if he's listening. But one of the products on there was a product called Sutan Plus, I think it was. And it's got a very unique smell. It's got a really high vapor pressure, so you can just smell it no matter where you're at. And we had to scoop shovel that product off of there with all that fertilizer, probably about 6 tons, me and another coworker of mine. And him and I always laughed about that. And to this day, I can't even smell anything that smells resembling that product without getting almost nauseous. So not as bad as probably the 2-in-1 day, but that was probably my worst day of work. Oh, and it's hot too. It's about 98 degrees.
That does sound like fun.
Yeah, that was a long morning.
At least you got
character building.
You got good exercise that day, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Character building. So, well, mine, I was given the parameters that you've squeezed us into. There's a few that I could have done, but I'll pick scouting fields for a seed company that will remain unnamed at this point. But one of the farmers who was growing that seed corn had a Rottweiler.
Oh my!
And, he's a monster. But to my knowledge, he was always pretty nice. But he'd always walk the fields with me. But corn was probably 1.5 feet tall, maybe. It was starting to get in that really fast growing stage where it snapped easy. Well, this dog gets in front of me, and he's walking, and apparently he gets on a trail of something. So he's nose down, 100% intent on whatever it is he's tracking. Rabbit, I don't know. But he's weaving in out of the rows, and as he is, I mean, he's just plowing corn down. I mean, they're just snap, 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 you know. I watched him do it. He's probably in front of me 100 feet. And so I just yelled at him, and I'm like, hey, quit breaking down a corn or whatever, you know.
Which is what you yell at a dog.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously. Well, what I didn't and I probably called him stupid or some derogatory term. Anyway, that dog was so intent on whatever he was doing that when I yelled at him, apparently it jerked him back into reality and maybe scared him or it aggravated him. He was sensitive to whatever name that I called him. But this dog attacks me in the middle of this cornfield. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, he come at me like a bull. And, you know, in your mind, you always think, I can take a dog, you know. You cannot easily take a dog. He got a hold of my leg, and he was lucky because he had hold of the top of my boot as well. And he begins to just viciously shake back and forth. And I wore that dog's head out with both fists, just hard as I could hit that dog over and over and over again. I mean, I just literally just beat this dog. His head, my knuckles were swollen. It was terrible. Anyway, he lets go of me like nothing happened. And just takes off running and goes away. So it's like, man, I'm a little bit leery of that dog, you know. So not the next time I went, I didn't see him like for 2 or 3 times that I went. And then I stopped and I was like, hey, where's your dog? I haven't seen him for a while. He's like, well, he ran out in front of a coal truck and got hit. I was like, oh, well, I'd like to say I'm disappointed by that. But yeah, being attacked by a dog, that is serious business. I will tell you. You just always think, I can take that dog. I'll just punch him in the head. That dog didn't care.
You know, our interns and stuff now, we're going to give them bear spray and things to take out because you never think that'll happen. And I've never heard you tell that story before.
No, it was serious for a while. It was touch and go, and I don't know how long it lasted. I mean, it felt like by the way my hands felt, it felt like that went on for a long time. It likely didn't.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I thought Ryan would tell the story when the buffalo escaped.
No, we didn't. Those are top 10s. But
those are top 10s.
Yeah, the manure thing was by far the worst day at work. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about work, Ryan. Tell us what's going on in the livestock industry. I guess cattle and beef prices, or what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I come on here the first time in October or somewhere around that neighborhood, and we talked about the cattle prices going up, and I think maybe the week before, the couple of days before, we talked about I got you some freezer beefs and stuff like that, and we talked about the prices, and there was kind of the joke that Ryan came up with was like, yeah, you ain't got your bill yet either, and we talked about that, but like if I gave you that bill today, it would probably be $500 difference per head. I mean, these things.
Oh my gosh!
These things have skyrocketed since last fall, and they just continue to get higher and higher, which is good. I mean, it's good for the farmer and stuff like that. But when it comes down to the bottom line of it, I still think we're making the same total dollars. I don't think that we're because your inputs and stuff like that are basically the same. So I don't think we're actually. Getting rich by no means, I guess, is the term is, you go through the grocery store, and I think I commented last time, going through there and looking at the prices and stuff, and, the prices seem to never go down in the grocery store. Now they run specials on stuff, but the prices never seem to go down. And I think it gets back to, we're looking, I think maybe when you bought your fat cattle, we was looking at somewhere as $1.40, $1.50 on those fats. And now we're up into, I think we topped out at 175 there last week. And, that's a lot of dollars coming into a 1,400 pound steer.
And that's a per pound weight for our listeners. And for those that may have not seen you on the other podcast, but you have these sales every week, right?
Yeah, we sell every week, especially the local market here local to us at Little York. Just the basic start back. I work for United Producers Inc., and we're a pretty big company. We're 17 livestock marketing locations that do live auctions, and we have sales just about every day other than Saturday and Sunday. But just at our location, we're running. Our numbers have picked up, in the past couple of years with our slaughtered cattle, or our fed cattle. You might say, those things have been running in, the 40 to 100 head categories. We've picked up numbers on those, but we got some new buyers and stuff that came in. But the market's just outstanding. It's a good time to have cattle, good time to, be in production and raising cattle. It just costs a lot to do it.
So back to your point, you're saying that it feels like we're making the farmer is making the same per head of steer or cow or whatever. It feels like his income may not have gone up that much because the cost have gone up.
Right. I mean, it goes back to kind of the basics of stuff. When we look at buying those cattle, just because the fed cattle went up, the feeder cattle have also went up. So, those 5 weight steers that we talked about, maybe at $1.60 to $1.70 when we came in here the first time, those things are up to almost like $2.30, $2.40, the 5 and 6 weights.
So break that terminology down for our listeners. The 5 weights, the 6 weights. So break that down for us.
So a 500 pound number one black steer that's weaned, vaccinated, and had all their shots and looks the part. That thing's probably worth, if it weighs 500, it's probably worth about $2.40 per pound.
Okay. All right.
And then the heifers will be right around that $2 to $2.20, give or take just a little bit. But, like say that's we're talking, the first couple of weeks in April here, and, grass is getting greener. So, I think the market's going to go up some more. There's a lot of farmers that's got grass cattle. They're going to turn out. The grass grew a lot last week. I think everybody's mowed their yard one time. So, I think the market's going to get higher. It's going to get better. It's just a matter of getting the calves in, getting them weaned, vaccinated, going through all the process from then on.
I guess so. Where could it stop? Because I think also in that first podcast you did with us, we talked about how long it took to get, like, if you wanted a hamburger, right? What's the amount of time to feed a steer out and get it processed? We're looking at 1.5 years, right? Or
yeah. I mean, you're looking on that 5 weight steer. You're looking, around this time next year. Probably could be less depending on how much you graze it. A lot of them 500 pound steers will go on grass right now, and grass till September, October, kind of when it starts getting shorter, depending on the rainfall. I'll tell you, like, not to get off subject on this, but yesterday and the day before was our first kind of hot weather. Well, I seen more flies than I seen in a long time yesterday, and then I noticed my cattle, like, I'm going out and checking them, a lot of them are laying under the trees already. So, like the weather's going to change, and, like, that's just a sign. If I was a farmer almanac, I would say, hey, it's the first part of April. My cattle's already going to shade. They're not out grazing during the day. It's not really that hot. We ain't got no humidity. but like we could be in for a long summer. So just the basic part of growing those cattle, they got to be out eating something to gain weight. And if they're not out eating something, gaining weight, then they're not gaining anything. And we're just out here, spinning our wheels. So, we always got to be looking for ways to make those things comfortable to get in a certain spot. A lot of people used to buy calves and say, hey, I'm going to butcher them, the first part of September or something like that. So I'm going to need a 700-pound steer. Well, there's a lot of factors that play into that. Especially with, like right now we're, hopefully that everyone's using performance bulls and they got genetic information and stuff like that. But, it depends. You grow an animal how fast you want it to grow. With feed cost as high as it is, maybe you don't want to spend as much money, so it's going to take you longer to get the animal ready.
So break that down for our listeners who don't understand. They drive by and they see a bunch of cattle out on a grass field. They might drive by a feed lot, see a bunch of cattle next to some silos and some feed bunks, if they're making that connection between the two. So on the input cost that you've referenced multiple times as they go up, there might be thoughts to say, that guy doesn't have any cost in that sense. He'd be bush hogging that or something if he didn't have those cattle out there. They must be free. So what are the basic input costs on grass-fed versus feedlot fed?
So obviously, I think the grass-fed would be a little bit cheaper, but I think you guys can answer more than I could. But if you're doing it right, you're putting fertilizer on and you're putting your lime on and stuff like that, which, I ain't gonna say I'm the best at it, at, getting all my lime and fertilizer and everything on. And there's a lot of farmers that don't think about it.
We know guys that can get that.
Yeah. How important is it to, fertilize your ground? It's that's, if you're a row crop farmer, that's the most important thing you can do. I mean, it really doesn't matter so much, some of the things that you do, but that's the thing that's basic 101. You have to fertilize your ground. Well, the guys that have cattle and crops, they may think, okay, well, I'm putting all this stuff on my cornfield, so I'm going to run the cattle over here on this field here because I can't farm it. Guess what? You still got to take care of it because you're taking stuff off of it. Mm-hmm. And like I say, I'm not the best at it, but like I say, there's a lot of people that
there's still some cost.
Yes, there's cost. So you got your fertilizer cost, you got your hay cost. Obviously, if you're doing the hay fields, you're taking off, putting on stuff like that. That's what, and then also you got your equipment cost and stuff that you have to figure some of that. Your fuel cost, you have to figure some of that back in. So grass fed, you're probably a little bit cheaper than you are grain fed, just because. Like you said, you're driving down the road, you see the silos, you see the grain bins, you see the cattle in the lot. There's no grass in there. Those cattle are strictly whatever you give them is whatever they get. So, they're getting some roughage, but more than likely they're getting a mixture of feed or a shell corn or something like that. So, your cost is going to be a little bit more just because they're contained and they're not out, free choice grazing or anything like that. So, I would say the cost difference to feed one out from 500 pounds to actual, the slaughter date on those calves and stuff like that would be similar in cost, probably $300 or $400 more to feed them on grain versus the grass.
If you're doing your grass right.
Right. But on the grass thing, they're probably not going to be as heavy and perform as much. So long term of it, it's going to be pretty similar.
Okay, while we're on the topic, and I think we had another podcast where we I think we said roughly that it really didn't matter what color the cattle are, right?
That's right.
Which made some of our listeners not that happy that we said that they don't have to be black cattle. Grass-fed versus corn-fed.
Right. Grass-fed versus corn-fed, in my opinion, and it doesn't mean nothing, but in my honest
silence,
yeah.
the air gets sucked out of the room.
I'm still going to stand by it. Like I say, I've had some hate mail over this, but color doesn't matter. If it all depends on how you feed them. A good corn-fed calf, no matter what kind, breed, shape, size it is always going to have a little bit more marbling in the meat. It's going to be a little bit more better. If you're wanting something juicy, if you think a big juicy steak is what you want, you're not going to go get a grass-fed beef.
No.
And that's the difference. If you want lean, that's where it's at. That's why we slaughter our cows and they go to a different processing plant, is to get the lean hamburger that we use at McDonald's or Wendy's or wherever, that's not going to have all the grease in it. So whenever we can fry them, it's faster and all that other stuff, because the fat is what takes the longest to cook.
Good.
Interesting.
All right. I think I got one more question, at least. But where's this end? I mean, it's so you talked about it, and you've been in this role for quite a while. Is this the highest you've ever seen the prices?
This is not the highest I've ever seen. I think there was, don't quote me on this, but like in 15 or 16, maybe even into 17 or 18, somewhere in there. But we had some of them lightweight calves bringing in the $3. The fat cattle I think maybe touched $2, $1.80, something like that. But I don't. The best thing about that time of year, or that year was we didn't have the high input cost. Pre-COVID, I guess is what you would say. The new term is pre-COVID. so pre-COVID, we didn't have all this high input cost. We was getting big money. The farmer was getting
and making money.
Yeah, the farmer was making money then. But like I say, it's how you do your stuff. You're in control of your operation. You have to pay your bills. So you do what you can do to make it work, and it's just basic, 8th grade math. I mean, you checks and balances. You're either gonna make money or lose money. You got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And if you ain't making money, then
better change something.
You have to change something. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Priest, do you have anything else?
I don't think I do. I always appreciate you coming in. We get good feedback from yours. They like the information.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I enjoy coming in here. It's great to come in here and talk, every little bit. And like I say, I ain't here to try to tell anybody they're doing anything wrong or anything like that. But, just talk about the livestock of it and see kind of what we got going on versus what you might have going on. And like I say, we're always available to talk to and stuff like that, or come out and visit or anything like that. But, I guess one thing I was going to throw at you was the summer care, and going back on that. That just basically means call your premier companies and say, hey, I need some fertilizer. All right, in the fall, say, hey, I need to get my lime on my pastures, because, and even there, in February, March, planting clover seed out there, just getting something out there that's different. The fescue goes a little bit, the fescue don't go a long way. So, like I say, on the summer care thing, I told you I was going to talk about was, basically that. Just get out there and get that, check your fertilizer, do some soil tests, because those cows can't just survive on what looks green out there in the pasture.
Broom sage.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good point, because, they are taking up their nutrients.
Right.
And just like us, if it's not good quality food, they're not going to do as well.
Right. And I'll give you a tip. If your cows are out there right now and it's the first part of April and they got long shaggy hair on them, you probably need to figure out what you're feeding and what you're not feeding. You probably need to get your mineral program right. If you're out there in the middle of June and your cows got brown tinge on their hair, they're probably eating too much fescue. And in August and September, whenever the switch falls off the bottom of their tail, they're probably eating too much fescue. So you're going to have to get something out there to get those cows changed and get the minerals and the nutrients out there, and it all starts in the ground and comes up.
So you see, Ryan, those things, that insight right there, you just don't find that in a book somewhere.
No. You have to have Ryan come in. Not everybody has access to him. So we want to utilize it. So when you talk about the minerals and stuff and getting that right, it comes up out of the ground. There's also supplemental ways we can do that. That's we can do supplemental blocks and tubs.
Yeah, we can do the blocks
and
the tubs and stuff like that. And there's so here's a big thing right now, grass tetany. Like if we ain't been feeding a high mag mineral for the past month, and we're going to turn these cows out in what looks like our lawn right now, we could be in big trouble.
What does that do to them?
So that basically just puts them in the system overload, and it'll kill them within like 2 or 3 days.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So we got to get that magnesium up.
Okay. That's good. That's good information.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, with nothing else, we're going to put some of your contact information up again so the people know where to direct their questions about grass versus corn-fed or what color their cows are.
Voice their complaints about your opinion.
I like it.
And if our listeners, if they like the podcast, please like and subscribe. That's important to us for some reason, which we haven't figured out yet why, but we want
folks. Not enough of them doing it
yet.
That's
right. But please like and subscribe, and that wraps up another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.